Thank you, all of you, for coming here. Welcome. Hope all of you got to spend some time at the keynote and heard how all the products that we spoke about are coming together, so to speak, to help some of the bigger challenges that our customers are facing on an ongoing basis. As you probably heard today, the key theme that we are trying to address in general with all our solutions is personalization at scale and helping enterprises and corporations deal with the content velocity challenges that they are dealing with on a regular basis and give them the tools and the capabilities that would help them to navigate some of the content velocity and content personalization at scale challenges that they are dealing with on an ongoing basis. And we believe that one of the key products and a set of capabilities that are built to address that problem with the right set of guardrails to protect the companies and to make sure that the companies and the corporations using our products can create content at scale with the appropriate brand guidelines and the brand constraints applied to them is Adobe Express. And we have built Adobe Express as a product from the ground up to essentially enable content velocity at scale while ensuring that content that's created is on brand. We have a few slides that Pierre is going to walk us through to give you a sense for how all of that comes to life. There are obviously a number of capabilities in the product. We're not necessarily going into the capabilities as much today. The thinking is to give you a flavor for how and where Express can be leveraged by companies, enterprises of any size, so to speak, to create content on brand. And that's really what Pierre is going to be walking us through. He's got a few slides that he's going to walk all of you through in the next 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll have some time for Q&A as well. So over to you, Pierre.
Excellent. Thank you, Govind. All right. As Govind mentioned, we're going to walk through just a little bit of context here, and I'm going to first start with a sizzle reel, since many of you saw Adobe Express on stage, which was very exciting just a little while ago. But for those who don't know what Adobe Express is, we'll give you a flavor for that right now. Okay, so you got to see the quick and easy app to create on-brand content just a little while ago, and this is really born of a fundamental problem that Govind teed up around personalization at scale and this need to drive content velocity. I think we all appreciate here that the demand for content is insatiable, and every organization, from large enterprises to small businesses, are under pressure to deliver more content than ever before. And I think who feels it the most are really the central creative and marketing teams. And they're getting requests for content from across the entire organization. And it's no longer just kind of core marketing, but it's also your field and regional marketers, your distributed marketing teams, the regional offices, your sales, your HR teams that need on-brand content in order to better engage their audiences, in order to drive greater business impact. And so what's happening is that teams are increasingly turning to their own kind of unauthorized apps, these point solutions, in order to self-serve this content creation problem. And as a result, there's kind of product mismatches and logo mismatches and brand mismatches that are happening that are reflected on this slide. What you're seeing is that these teams, as they turn to these solutions, oftentimes they're kind of skewing what was intended by the brand guidelines, and that's causing repercussions for the business that are very real. The problem that we're talking about here can be brought to life in these numbers. We know organizations are struggling with this brand consistency at scale. David talked about it on stage, as did Anil. 90% of marketing leaders, we ran a survey recently, 250 marketing leaders were surveyed, and 90% said that the demand for content will increase 2x in the next 2 years. 50% said it'll increase 3x, a significant growth in the amount of content. And 77% said they don't have the resources to keep up with this content demand. And 55% said that they've suffered the impacts of rogue content, which we just talked about on the previous slide, which is kind of content that's getting out there that doesn't necessarily represent the brand the way you want it to, or the way leaders want it to. And the consequences of this are very real. You know, we have companies that are suffering brand integrity concerns, where it's damaging their brand reputation. Real revenue risk, as there's missed opportunities to engage the customers, the clients that these companies are after. It's a damaging customer experience. Oftentimes the messaging, the comms, the visuals are misaligned with the company's objectives. And there's real legal risk, both from a messaging and an intellectual property perspective, as assets might be used that are not sanctioned for commercial use. And so this is where Adobe Express really shines. We want to empower all teams in the organization to create on brand. And that's what you saw brought to life at Main Stage, which is this vision for this application that allows you to create templates, provide your employees with brand kits, and allows them to empower on-brand content creation across the org. So what is the benefit that Adobe Express provides? One, it allows businesses to increase audience engagement. Okay, so we've seen customers increase their, and we're going to look at a few customer case studies in a moment, increase audience engagement by up to 4x with this tool with Adobe Express being able to create on-brand content with greater velocity. Companies are able to get to market faster because their teams, especially those teams that are underserved by central or core creative, are now able to be more agile in the way that they produce on-brand content. Teams are able to reduce costs because there's less of a dependency on agency spend or on having to produce net new assets. They're able to reuse, remix, and mobilize their existing hero assets with greater velocity. And the businesses are able to protect their business and their brand because content as it gets out there is increasingly on brand and honors brand guidelines. And this is for everyone in the business. So Adobe Express is really about taking your on-brand content and mobilizing teams like sales, marketing, even HR, people and ops teams that require content, engaging creative to drive business outcomes. So you can imagine a marketing team, field or regional marketing teams that have to create webinar content, flyers, events, social posts to promote ad hoc events. You have teams like sales that need to customize customer presentations, one-pagers, leave-behinds, or people in operations teams that have to host trainings and the like for their employee base that all need to be on brand. And so Adobe Express has increasingly been innovating to deliver on this promise. And at this event, we've actually announced 4 new capabilities, which are very compelling. One is an Adobe Workfront integration. So now as you're deploying content creation across the organization and scaling on-brand content creation, you can trust that review and approval workflows handled by Workfront will be integrated. There's also going to be review and approval workflows built into the application itself so that you can, with increasing agility, you can make sure that on-brand content is reviewed and approved by marketing leaders. There's a customized home experience where enterprises can centralize all of their templates and on-brand assets and make it very easy for employees to find the content that they can customize themselves. And then one-click brand setup allows you to very easily take your brand guidelines and apply them, and load them into the application and apply them. So uploading approved assets, branded files, and Adobe Express will automatically extract the on-brand assets and then make them available for employees in the application. So customers like Red Hat are reimagining what it means to get to market faster with tools like Adobe Express. They're seeing a 10x increase in time savings. They needed to be more agile with content creation, and they were able to use Express to create more compelling social posts much faster. Or companies like Prudential that were able to unlock self-serve on-brand content creation by using Adobe Express, and they increased their ROI, 1.24 increase or return on investment, on marketing investment, and 365% year-over-year increase in the number of people engaged through similar campaigns. And then companies like 7 West Media, they have 14 million monthly active viewers, watchers, readers online. They're seeing they're able to take this is a media outlet that is now able to take their content and mobilize it across their channels like never before. 30% faster ideation and collaboration across their marketing and creative teams, and a 95% reduction in production time. So they're now able to produce significantly more, almost twice as much more in terms of campaigns and content than they were previous. So this is just a flavor for how Adobe Express is impacting real enterprises. And with that, I think we can turn it over to some questions.
Maybe just to summarize, so what you saw here, regardless of where you start from, you can start with a template, you can start from scratch, you can start with one of your images or videos. You have the ability to use Adobe Express to create almost anything. Flyers, banners, posters, presentations, resumes, logos, you name it. We have templates and the capabilities required to create all of that content within Express. But from an enterprise on-brand creation point of view, we also provide the ability to create templates with locks and the brand elements, so to speak, applied to them with the appropriate level of template locking and brand controls to ensure that people downstream of those who create those templates, using those templates to create content, are creating content that stays on brand. So when we talk about democratization of creation, of creativity, to enable scaling of content creation, you have all the tools and the capabilities within Adobe Express to allow you to do that. You can create a template, you can lock the elements that you want to have locked, and then you can make those templates available to the downstream users within your organization and give them the creative freedom within those guardrails to do what's needed to create the content that's needed. But you have the comfort and the confidence that the content that's created stays on brand. And that's where we think that Adobe Express can really help corporations scale up their content creation and deliver personalization at scale. So those are sort of the two key points that I wanted to summarize based on what Pierre just covered.